It's called Echo Party Movie, and it started out just as a music project. So I did the Echo Party music, and then my friend in Los Angeles, his name is Tom Fitzgerald. Tom is like a record digger or like a record collector, but in the visual world, like with video and footage. So yeah, did the music for Echo Party, and then just as an afterthought, sent the music to Tom and said, do you want to do a full-length movie or put video to the whole thing? And he did a wonderful job, and I'm just very proud of it, actually. Basically, it ended up becoming like a 30-minute, it's like vignettes, like little 30, 40-second almost paintings of sound, and they're all connected, and they're sort of moving past you, almost like if you were to look at graffiti on trains, and it'd be like a car, you know, just passing by you slowly, and it's like you look at one piece and you kind of check it out, and you catch a vibe off it, and then the next car comes and it's kind of like a different vibe, and then another one, and that's kind of what the mix is. It started because I didn't really have people around, so I would have to do everything to finish a song, you know. And at first I only had the turntables, then I got, you know, the equipment to start making beats, and it's a good thing because you don't have to rely on anyone.
Well, you know, it's important though, you know, it's like a love of hip hop. I think that's what we both have. Like, we both appreciate hip hop, like, as a culture, and we sit around and we listen to things that came out 20 years ago, whatever, and talk about it as if it came out yesterday, and appreciate it and break it down. And when you look at the culture like that, and you come up in the culture like that, it makes you, you know, not only the necessity of making a song, but just wanting to just DJ and wanting to rap, and then wanting to make your own beats, just you know, it's creation. So, word. It's how, I mean, that's the only way I know how to do it. I know a lot of people that do other, like, the rhyme. I have friends that make beats, but yeah, when I did my record, I did all the beats and all the rhymes and all the cuts anyway. I could have called him and said, yo, Edan, blaze me with an ill verse, because, you know, he's ill. He's one of my favorite MCs doing it. Yeah, but still, I ain't hit you up because I wanna show him, just like everybody else, that, you know, I can come to the table with my own flavor. So, word up.
To me, I was always drawn to the grittiness, and also there's an interesting quality to sample-based music. It's like collage. It's the same as collage art. You could take you know, a photo image of a giraffe, and you Xerox it and you put it over here, and then you put maybe you know, instead of the giraffe's neck, you take a lamp post and you just, like, you know, put it over top of the neck, and you paint that green, and then maybe, you know, you got like anything you want, like maybe you got a bolt of lightning like coming out of the giraffe's ass or something. Whatever you want, you can just take things out of context, and the way that, like, you know, sometimes people use collage and they use photos, and then next to the photo there'll be like swirls of paint. And what it does to the mind is you end up looking at the photo and the paint, and you sort of put them in the same world, and they don't really go together, but your mind processes those things in the same visual language. And so I feel like sampling can do that. You can also there's like a photocopy quality. It's almost like it's a very crazy fucking thing. Like, it's really also taking the equipment and using it in a way that wasn't intended, which I think is beautiful. And then there's also, you know, have you heard of like the artist Marcel Duchamp? He was like a Dadaist. Like, he brought a urinal into the museum and turned it upside down and just said that's the piece in the 20s, and people didn't know what to make of it. And it's almost like when you hear like Ghostface take the Delphonics, right? Something that already exists as is, and then just rhymes over it. It's kind of a similar thing. It's like you're taking things that already exist, and you are nominating them as worthy of your expression. And you're saying, this already exists in the world, but it speaks for me so well that I'm gonna use it. But I'm gonna use it with another element that you wouldn't have used with it, and make it my own. And so that's something I really enjoy. And then I also really appreciate the rawness of hip hop. So when I hear polished hip hop or very shiny, you know, commercial rap, I'm not saying it's wrong or shouldn't exist. It's just not the shit that I like. I like the grittiness of how Marley Marl's microphone sounded when he recorded all the Juice Crew stuff in the mid 80s. And I like how, you know, like songs like My Melody and Eric B. is President. I like the shit that sound like that. Doesn't all have to sound like that. But, you know, there's just so many cool developments that happen in the history of the music that I appreciate. I like what Prince Paul brought to it. I like what Showbiz and Primo and Large Professor brought to it, and those are just producers. And I also like the early musicians from the late 70s and early 80s who did hip hop in the parks and cut up the records, and that's a whole nother thing. And to me, that's the purest shit. You know, that's the best shit the further back you go. So to me, the best hip hop has a rebellious nature. It's funk, but it's a little harder than funk. It's almost like funk, but in an abandoned, like in a burnt out Bronx building. Like it's a little more harsh, but it's funk and rock and roll and punk. I like it's all of that, you know. And we listen to old music like it's new, because if you could take an old Billie Holiday record and put it on right now, it's still part of the moment right now. You can listen to Billie Holiday in the year 2060 and it'll still be good. So to me, that's futuristic.
Word. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it depends on what your definition of hip hop is and what, you know, what is hip hop. But, you know, music always has a place in people's lives. So, you know, and, you know, what the artist creates, it just becomes music. And yeah, I don't even like putting too many like names on, like even like hip hop. It's really just music, and it's not even like people say it's good music and bad music. I really think that it's just music you like or music you don't like, you know, or, you know, it's music you feel in the middle about. But as far as like, I mean, there's, you know, there's still b-boying, there's still b-boy events. Like I know a friend of mine DJs a lot of b-boy events, and cats is breakdancing like crazy still. You know, you don't hear, you know, Big Daddy Kane type styles on the radio anymore. But, you know, when I was coming up, hip hop wasn't even on the radio anyway. Real hip hop has always had a hard time getting on the radio anyway. So people talk about, oh, the radio doesn't play hip hop. I'm like, I don't remember them playing too much, you know, where I was at. I wasn't in New York, so you know, I was in Boston and Chicago, and I don't remember hearing that much hip hop on the radio waves anyway. So, but it's up to the individual, you know. If it's something you like, if y'all dig it, then, you know, y'all support it and y'all, you know, express it, and that's what we do. So I don't really. I guess what I'm saying is I don't care what nobody else doing. You know, do what the hell they want to do. People do what they want to do. You know. And I'm gonna do what I do, you know. It's gonna probably sound like hip hop, at least for now.
The thing about that song, that's from a song called Rock and Roll, and that was more just to. It's interesting. There still is, to some degree, less these days, but there still is like segregation between certain genres, and certain genres seem to reflect certain, you know, groups within society, and it's like it's becoming more mixed now, where just like, you know, it's not, you can't like just, you know, like predict what somebody listens to just by looking at them as easily. But I think I did a song like Rock and Roll just to kind of remind maybe a rap listener, or just the music I make in general. I think just part of the intent is to remind people how rich the world is and how much diversity there is, and how you don't have to just do rap or just rap like this, or, you know, you can you know, you can use everything around us, you know, and incorporate it. So to hold up records like the Doors, I don't even really like the Doors that much, you know. Like I like groups like Love more so, or I think, you know, Doors is cool. They got some great albums and songs, but some of the groups in that song, I put them in there only because their names lent themselves to imagery, you know. Like you know, it's just, I said, you know, I don't really listen to King Crimson that much, but I put King Crimson in the song. And so, you know, those records, yeah, some of those records are records I truly love, but some of them was just sounding cool in the rhyme, you know. You know, your enthusiasm leads you to things, and you find different gadgets and cool shit that makes sound, and you buy it, you fuck with it, you know, and that's all. I'm just experimenting. I have a crazy range of influences. You know, it's not all music. Sometimes it's cinema, or it's visual, it's painters, or just, or people, that just have a certain righteousness or nobility or something that inspires you. And I don't know. I like a lot of psychedelic music. I like to feel stimulated, and to me, that's what psychedelic music is, or psychedelic art. It's just anything that's very stimulating, and that's how art, I feel like, should always be. So I just want to feel like I'm on drugs without taking the drugs.
He sums up all of my influences for the most part. But at the end of the day, just as a person, you just see any footage of him and just the way what he was and what he meant to music and the way the music sounds now. And of course art. I have contemporary influences. I think I really appreciate my brother Edan, and I really appreciate my brother Willie Evans Jr. From my crew Asimov. Some of the cast that I actively listen to now, like, I'm interested, even though this is my man and we do shows and we all over the world, I still, like, I want to hear the new record too. Like, people be like, where's the new record? I'll be like, yeah, where's the new record? You know what I mean? So, you know, and life influences you. Doing this interview, you know, just living, you know, influences you, you know. And and I'm also influenced by my daughter, so who just had her debut stage performance actually this past weekend. So that's also my big influence, James Brown and Asha. So yeah.